All right, welcome to the Rules Confirmation and Public Elections. It is 4:11. We're running a little behind. We do have quorum with myself, Councilmember Cash, Councilmember Druffel, and Vice Chair Prepty. We had no one sign up for public comment, so we will go straight into resolutions on consent. I'm gonna go ahead and read the number. If anything needs to be pulled off, just let me know. And we'll take care of that. So first one on consent is RS 2024-520, 521, and 522. Do any of those need to be pulled from consent? Seeing none, I'm going to read the captions. RS 2024-520 by Bradford and Benedict, a resolution recognizing the 20th anniversary of Nashville in Harmony. RS 2024-521 by Gadd, Benedict, Bradford, and Hill, a resolution recognizing Saturday, June 1st to Sunday, June 30, 2024 as the Nashville Pride Month, celebrating the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community and their enormous contributions to the quality of life in Nashville and Davidson County, and further recognizing the 36th anniversary of the Nashville Pride event. RS 2024-522 by Vo and Gadd, a resolution recognizing Friday, June 7, 2024 as Gun Violence Awareness Day in Nashville and Davidson County. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. All right. Next, we do have some bills on second reading. I know the sponsor is on their way, so we will just go ahead and kick that to the heel. So we'll move to the heel 343, 344. So up next is BL 2024-375 by Sepulveda, Stiles, Welsh, and others, an ordinance to amend Chapter 420 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to establish a contract and compliance board for existing construction contracts of the Metropolitan government. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All right. Just brief conversation from what happened in the budget. There is plans to work on an amendment in conjunction with some interested parties. The administration had some recommendations. Some of the departments had some recommendations. So we're going to be amending that. So I want to go ahead and pass in committees so we could move for a one meeting deferral on the floor. So I don't know if there's any questions.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, we have move for recommendation with 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. All right. Next, we will go to late filed items. Late filed resolution by Porterfield, a resolution approving amendment number 1 to contract number 6488-66-3 between the Metropolitan Government and Axon Enterprise. Is the sponsor here? Someone speaking on it?
I'll sign on to it.
It's okay for me to say, she doesn't have any intent of asking for rules of suspension, so you can dispose of it as you see fit.
Okay, so no need for a vote since we're not suspending the rules.
It's my understanding. My understanding is the exact same, that she does not intend to move forward with it tonight and ask for a rule suspension.
Okay, so
That's
we
what I
will discard. All right, next is a late filed substitute, BL 2024-318 by Toombs, an ordinance to authorize the building material restriction and requirement. Actually, I'm going to move that to the heel since Toombs is running a little late, so we'll move that to the heel. All right, let's go into board and confirmations. Candidates in this category will be subject to recommendation vote by the Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections Committee, and an election by the council. So these are people that we've already interviewed. We just need to give a recommendation for the body as a whole. So the first one up is Human Relations Commission, consideration of nominees to fill 6 vacancies for a term expiring on April 18, 2027. with an election to be held on June 4, 2024 council meeting. The first one is Garlinda Burden, nominated by Councilmember Russ Bradford, interviewed on 5/21/24. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting?
No, I've got a question once we're done with the vote.
Okay, so 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Yes,
So
Council.
last meeting, I asked if we could do a consent calendar. These are the ones that we've already interviewed, and they're up tonight for the council, right? I mean, I guess I'm asking, if we have to vote on each one individually, or if we can consolidate?
I think we could consolidate, and if anyone needs to be pulled off, then we can pull them off if anyone has any questions. So with that being said, thank you, Councilmember. With that being said, the ones on consent are Darren Johnson for the same board, Human Relations Commission. Darren Johnson, Whitney Pastoric, Heather Riddle, Shane Burkett, Michael Berger, Todd McKinney, Ben Tran, and Aaron Coleman. Do any of those need to be pulled from consent? Okay. Can I get a motion for approval?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for all. All right, moving on to boards and commission appointees and nominees. Candidates in this category will appear before the Rules and Confirmations and Public Elections Committee to determine the relative qualification of the candidates. So these will be up for questioning today. Again, those who are here present, you are appearing before the Rules Committee. You will not be up for confirmation tonight before the council body as a whole. That will happen at the next meeting. You do not have to come to the next meeting, but you can come if you want to, and we will clap for you. All right, can someone pull up one of the chairs into the middle? It could be from the committee. Fine.
Excuse me?
Oh, we took one.
Scoot this right.
Yeah. All right.
Wow, okay.
First one up, Airport Authority appointment of Glenn Farner for a term expiring on January 31st, 2031. Mr. Farner, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
I have one, thank you.
Perfect. All right. Do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
I do not.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Thank you for having me. Interested in serving on the Airport Authority. I think with my history, I bring a unique perspective. I've spent the last 30+ years elected by and working for workers. I have served on 3 boards and commissions prior. I've served on the Study and Formulating Committee, where we approved partner benefits and looked at pensions. I served on MTA, where we purchased a new fleet of buses, made the WeGo brand, began the neighborhood transit centers, began work there. And then on the Sports Authority with work on the soccer stadium, the fair infrastructure, and the new Titan Stadium. I am familiar with large both public and private infrastructure projects, working in the field that I am, and also I'm a frequent user of the airport. Weekly, almost, for the last 30 years as well, so I can attest all that's changed there. Very proud of that airport too, by the way.
Great, thank you so much. 2 questions to start off. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Absolutely, yes.
Will you be able to meet the time requirements to serve on the board?
Yes.
All right, questions from committee members, council member?
Yeah, good. Thanks for serving. With all the major changes that have occurred recently, what do you see as one of the biggest challenges to move forward? I've been there a few times and it's getting a little confusing. Any thoughts on what we need to do?
Well, I think it's come a long way, and I talked to Doug about this earlier, but I think the traffic will go along. If you've ever picked somebody up and dropped someone off, being able to efficiently get through the airport. But I think with the current development that's happening, I think that's going to resolve itself as expediently as possible. Other than that, I compare it constantly with airports that I both travel to and from, and it's a pretty well-run airport. One can get through security pretty quickly, and you can navigate the airport pretty well in comparison to what's out there.
Yeah, I was just looking at the traffic, and I think it's relative to what we had before, of course, and that has been a change. But some of the traffic I've gotten complaints from. I know some of my neighbors are having to almost stop on the freeway and run to their flight. So I didn't know if I know there's been some improvement, but I do get a fair amount of feedback of concerns.
Yeah, and there's alternative, like I've just naturally developed, coming in either off Murfreesboro Road, off of Donaldson Pike. I think that's helped me kind of navigate
Sure.
where everybody else is at the same time.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Councilmember?
There are two questions on your application that were blank. You answered one of them to the chair about the time commitment. The other one is, have you read, signed, and returned your acknowledgement of ethical rules form? You know if you've done that?
Yes, I have done that on previous board. As I understood that, I had already done the training, but if I haven't met that, I will, of course. I have no problem with it.
Thanks.
Councilmember?
Thank you. And Mr. Farner, I appreciate all of your transportation experience and experience with labor. I think that will be definitely a great asset. One of the questions that I have for you doesn't necessarily relate to B&A, but more with John Toombs Airport and sort of generally with the airport authority. Do you have any vision as far as just like the expansion of general aviation services with John Toombs and sort of trying to, if this has even been a consideration, sort of as we expand services at B&A for commercial flights, trying to expand the capabilities of John Toombs to more efficiently handle general aviation services and get it away from B&A, given just the nature of air traffic there?
I'm not intimately familiar with John Toombs. I don't know a lot about it, but I am familiar with the demands at B&A, and so I would be open to look at anything we need to do to make that more efficient and utilize those resources in a better way.
I would just add to that, my district's right next to it, and there's more traffic now coming through my district, which nobody anticipated that we would get airport traffic. So I appreciate you taking a look at how that's being developed, why traffic is coming, the large jets are coming through. So just as you do, appreciate consideration and thoughts through the airport authority on controlling that.
Absolutely.
And I get all the traffic, so.
Well, you work there, you live there. Ours is new, so.
All right, well, thank you so much for your willingness to serve. I definitely think with your previous experience on numerous metro boards and commissions and your experience, working with workers will be an asset to this board. With that being said, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? And that is for re-referral to the next meeting. All right, 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
All right, up next is Jocelyn Stevenson, and I think that's been a deferral request. All right, for one meeting? Okay.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? That's for one meeting deferral for Jocelyn Stevenson. All right. Up next is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointment of Alvin Haney for a term expiring on August 1st, 2026. Is Mr. Haney here? All right, we'll just move it to the heel and we'll keep going. Up next is the CATV Special Committee, consideration of nominee to fill one vacancy for a term expiring on March 1st, 2027, with an election to be held on June 18, 2024, council meeting for Daryl Wilson. Mr. Wilson, thank you so much for being here. Do you need a parking validation?
I do.
Well,
Thank you.
do you currently live in Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No, ma'am.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Oddly, it's very unique in that in my 30-plus year career in motion pictures, I actually sort of got my feet wet through cable access. When it originally began, which makes my knee hurt. When it originally began here in Nashville, basically they had, invites to come down, look at the gear, work with the gear, work with us, and I did. And here I sit before you now, almost 35 years later. So.
Great. 2 questions to start off. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be able to meet the time requirements while serving?
Could you maybe explain the time requirement or
It's
some
generally,
detail?
yeah, it's generally once a month, unless there's any
But
special.
it's in person only.
It's in person only, yes.
I do from time to time. I could work out of town.
Okay.
I do when I do work on a television series or motion picture or something like that. It can be time consuming. I can sit here before you and tell you that I will make every effort because I would love to. I would love to serve, but if it's potentially an issue, or if it is an issue of great importance to you, I mean, I can't sit here and swear.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, we do have a lot of working people that can't make all the meetings. If it does become a problem and you feel like you cannot adequately serve, would you commit to taking a step back from that board?
Okay, great.
Great. Thank you. All right. Any questions from committee members? Yes.
I'm just curious, could you sort of talk about more about your experience in this area and sort of what shows you've worked on previously?
Oh my gosh, okay. I started in the business in 1989 after I graduated Memphis State. I've worked on, I've worked on The Firm. I worked on The Day After Tomorrow. I worked on Young Rock, which was here just a couple of years ago. I worked on a movie of the week eons ago called Blue Valley Songbird with this lady named Dolly Parton. Yeah, I could. It's really funny. When people meet someone who worked in my field, they always ask you, oh, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite show? It's never the show they think, because for us, it's who you work with and how that particular project unfolded and went about, and and then being in the business as long as I am, you find out that one show that's this amazing, just absolutely wonderful experience for you was an abject nightmare for somebody else, which I'm sure most people can relate to. But yeah, 34. I mean, I've worked in Los Angeles, I've worked in New York, I've worked in a lot of places around the country. Been relatively fortunate enough to work here. I was able to work on Walk the Line. If I had to choose my two favorite shows that I've ever worked on, one was called October Sky.
Oh.
If you potentially, I was fortunate enough to work on that, and which shot in Knoxville, in and around Knoxville. And then probably my second favorite show was a show that actually won an Academy Award. It was called Crash. And and both of them were just great experiences because of the people.
So essentially what I'm hearing is you've won an Academy Award.
I've been on a project that won an Academy Award. We were all very thrilled. I mean, it was, by all accounts, it was a $7.5 million movie, which is shocking, actually, in and of itself. But it was a great story. I mean, in our business, when you work on set, you get sides, which are the pages that you're gonna do, from the scenes that you're gonna do every day, and we would read the sides and be like, this, I really hope this turns out because it's really good. And fortunately enough, it was.
Okay, any other questions? All right, just as a reminder, this seat is supposed to be held by someone, a representative of one of the unions, and
Well, yeah, I can, yeah, and full disclosure, I'm the president of the Student Mechanics Local here, local IATSE Local 492.
and there you go, qualification. All right,
Qualification met.
yes. Anybody else? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope to see you on the 18th.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
All right, we're gonna go back real quick. Now that the two sponsors of the legislations that are before us are here. Let's go back to BL 2024-343 by Styles, Coopin, Eastlick, and others, an ordinance to amend chapter 2.112 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the membership of Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission and the process for approving the criteria for award funds. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Styles, would you like to speak on your legislation?
Yes, Chair. So this piece of legislation is to send someone from the Arts Committee to be on the Arts Commission so that there's someone from council present when questions come up that can be a little bit more helpful. There have been some miscommunications and some confusion and delayed communication, and so I think having a council member present makes things easier. We do have other commissions and boards that do have council members present. For example, the Metro Action Commission, that's one that I served on for 2 years, and I was placed there through what we previously had was Health and Human Services. And this year, I believe, Public Safety placed those two new people through it. I would ask for your approval. There are a few amendments. I am in support of Councilmember Allen's amendment in terms of the staggering of terms and that the council member would serve for 2 years. I am not in support of changing this from a resolution to an ordinance. I think it's very clear the resolution was passed in 2001 and then never came before us again. It was supposed to come before us ever since then. It hasn't. As an ordinance, it comes before us every year and we get a chance to say this grant process makes sense. If it doesn't, we get to ask questions and it gives them time to make corrections. As a resolution, it just comes to us, and if we denied it, we send it back. I think it would be an unnecessary process. And lastly, the amendment to make this a whole body vote. I have a late filed amendment, right? Oh no, you're not. Dampy, sorry. I was looking at you, I thought you were Hannah, my bad. I do have a late, okay. I do have a late filed amendment that makes this a bit of a compromise. So it goes to the full body, but the committee that has been very active in terms of working on Metro Arts and all the issues that have been happening over the last year, we would choose a person or a couple people that would come to the body and the body could vote on those individuals. But at least we're placing someone on the commission that is actively aware and been participatory versus just throwing it to the floor and allowing people to throw their name in the ring without any information.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. We do have several amendments. I guess this is a point where we need to decide if we're going to defer or hear out the amendments. It was deferred in budget 2 meetings. This committee could choose not to defer and go through the amendments. It is up to the body as a whole. If we are going to go through the amendments, then we need to go find Councilmember Allen.
She's right.
Okay, cool. Councilmember?
I would I'm not against this, I would just like to defer so I could study all the amendments in the late file amendment.
Okay. Any other?
And we did it in budget yesterday, so
Yes.
I didn't feel
Councilmember?
like I was out of place there.
Thank you.
Is there a specific reason for a 2-meeting deferral as opposed to a 1-meeting deferral? Sort of what the...
Councilmember Toombs?
So there is a working group that has been started to address boards and commissions as a whole. Councilwoman Sepulveda serves on that working group. I believe they are meeting this week, next week, soon. And so there was conversation as to, what work they would do to create uniformity amongst the boards and commissions, whether they could prioritize the Arts Commission. And so, as the mover of that motion, I felt like one meeting wasn't enough for them to gather and get information and share it with the body. So 2 meetings just to give them more time to do their work.
Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that answers my question. Because I think that this is something, boards and commissions obviously is part of the reason why we're here, and so it's important for us all to look at this, and I think giving the committee and committee members an ample opportunity to be able to look and to have questions and answers is important. But I think that it also, for the viewing public, both here and at home, giving them some lead time and all, but also sharing out as much information as we possibly could as quickly as we possibly can, I think will be of a benefit to all of us. So I'm not speaking either in favor or against the deferral. I just think that it's since we have council members here wanting to hear like how all of this would operate, I think would be a benefit for everybody here today, regardless of the ultimate decision that we make on deferral.
Are you suggesting we go through the amendments and then decide if we want to defer 2 meetings or not?
Yes, if time allowing.
Okay. Councilmember Stiles.
Thank you very much, Chair. I did want to say I'm not in support of a deferral. This was deferred 1 meeting last time because I was unable to come to budget and rules. That's why it was deferred. This is an ongoing issue. The reason why this is a timely need is we have been dealing with issues with Metro Arts now for a year. And I realize there are 40 of us, and so when things are burning, we don't all get to pay attention, but I've been in the flames for a year, and we need to put someone on this commission. I respect Councilmember Sepulveda and the work that she began before this work group was created to address boards and commission because we do have needs for uniformity. I do believe, though, we don't need to do things piecemeal. So right now, we've already started the term, allowing for 1 committee to place people. We can allow for the Apple Committee to place 1 person. I do not know how long the work group is going to continue to work on boards and commissions, how long it'll be until this final legislation is ready. And in the meantime, there are constituent needs that need to be addressed. And I don't think it's fair for us to tell the people, well, we're playing catch up and we want to do X when there's a need right now. So, thank you, Chair.
Any feelings when?
Well, the question is, if budget's deferred for 2 meetings, is it become deferred for 2? I mean,
It's not
we would still-
automatically,
okay.
yes. And I would rather that the whole body get a chance to hear. And if that's the will of the entire body to do this deferral, then so be it. But I would allow, I would love to ask that we get an opportunity for everyone to hear.
All right. A motion or a question?
Well, I've got
A statement.
All right. A statement? Go for it.
No, I'm fine if we want to go through each amendment. So for the viewing audience, for the folks who've shown up today, the concern is the same, that there is a working group that has started looking at boards and commissions and wanting there to be uniformity amongst the boards and commissions. Completely understand that Arts Commission has a lot of issues and that there does need to be some immediate steps taken to rectify and get them on the right track. And I believe that the commission is working on those things, in particular the criteria for choosing grant recipients. I just think that this is a little too soon. I think that work that the Arts Commission is doing can continue. The Arts Committee can continue to attend those meetings and work with the commission to the extent that it can. But I would hate to put something in place and then do something differently for everyone else and then have to change this process again. I know it was brought up that we do have some committees that appoint folks to boards and commissions. I would say that we probably need to change that as well so that we're consistent across the board. And then that's my general comments, but happy to discuss each amendment.
Yeah, it is 4:41. We have a number of appointees to go through.
Or we can,
But if it's the will of the
it's been deferred in budget, so it's gonna be discussed on the.
I think I made a motion to defer, and again, it not in opposition as much as time, more time to look at it, especially in review, so.
There's gonna be a floor discussion because it's been deferred in one
Yeah.
committee.
To be clear, the budget committee deferred without going through the amendments, is that right?
They had started on the first amendment for Councilmember Allen, and then it was deferred from there. So they didn't go through the whole list.
So
Okay.
I made a
There's a
motion to
motion.
defer, not opposing it, but just think
Defer.
consistent, we need to spend the time understanding the consistency, not against anything that you're trying to do, Council Lady, but I think it's better to be consistent as you just outlined, Council Lady Toombs.
Is your motion for how many meetings?
2-meeting deferral similar.
2 meeting deferral, okay. There's a proper motion, can I get a second?
Second.
But parliamentary inquiry to Director Darby, if it's deferred in committee, is it deferred by a rule onto the floor?
It is not. It will still have to, the motion to defer would still need to be made on the floor.
Because it's 2 meetings, not 1.
The question, if we deferred 1 meeting and there's finance deferred 2, is how do you reconcile that?
If any committee that's addressing legislation defers for 1 meeting, it is an automatic deferral on the floor, regardless of what other committees have done.
Okay, I'll keep the 2-meeting deferral.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any non-voting? All right. 4 in favor, 1 against, 1 not voting. No, 0 not voting. 4 in favor, 1 against. For 1 meeting deferral. All right, I think.
2 meetings.
2 meetings, sorry.
2
2 meetings.
Sorry, 2 meetings. All right, next was also by Councilmember Stiles, Cupid, Eastlick, and others, an ordinance to amend section 2.147.030 of the Metropolitan Code regarding the selection of members for the Nashville Music, Film, and Entertainment Commission. Well, Councilmember Stiles is gone. We could,
Councilmember Coogan is here.
Councilmember Cupid is here.
I got nothing for you.
You got nothing
I'm gonna let you take this one.
for me? All right, was this deferred 2 meetings, or where are we on this one?
This bill has gone to Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment, where it was approved at last 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And then it was deferred at this last meeting because the sponsor wasn't present.
I guess we could defer to keeping track.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can I get a motion for a 2-meeting deferral?
So moved.
Second.
Any opposed? Any non-voting? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a 2-meeting deferral. All right. And then Councilmember Toombs for a late file substitute to BL 2024-318 by Toombs, an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for BL 2024-317, a proposed specific plan zoning district on properties located at 2840 and 2842 Buena Vista Pike, approximately 58 feet east of Mike Shields Court, 3.53 acres to permit 40 multi-family units, of all of which is described herein, proposal number 2024 SP-006-001. The proposed ordinance requires certain material to be restricted in the construction of buildings. What is the reason for the late file?
I'm actually gonna need to defer the companion bill, so I'm not gonna move it.
Okay. So since it's not being moved, there is no need to vote on the late filed substitute. Okay? All right, thank you. Going back to confirmations. All right. Did Alvin Haney make it? Alvin Haney. All right, we'll keep moving on, and then at the end, if they're not here, we'll move for deferral.
Haney?
Yes, they're here? All right, Mr. Haney.
Yes,
Thank you so much for being here. Do you need a parking validation?
yes, I do.
All right, here you go, and come have a seat in the middle.
Thank you.
All right. For the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointment of Alan Haney for a term expiring on August 1st, 2026. Mr. Haney, do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
I do not.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Well, I'm a retired Metro school teacher. Spent 30 years in Metro schools, and I'm an avid cyclist. I've been cycling avidly since 2012. The founder of a local bicycle club, domestic cycling club. I've been on the board at Walk Bike Nashville, and just really advocating for bicyclists to have a safe place to ride in Nashville.
Great, thank you so much. 2 questions. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes.
Will you be able to meet the time requirement?
Yes.
All right, questions from committee members? Yes.
I do. First, I want to say my son went to Meg's and was,
Yes, sir.
the kids at Meg's thought you were an awesome teacher,
appreciate
and
it.
you got the bicycle and the track coach
Yes.
in, so you got
That's right.
bicycle and pedestrian kind of covered.
For sure.
And so I appreciate that, your service to children in those capacities. One quick question is on the form that you filled out. The last question is, have you read, signed, and returned your acknowledgement of ethical rules form? And it says no. Do you know if you've
I did. I sent it. I was out of town at the time. I, made a copy of PDF and sent it by email.
Okay.
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 But I should have a copy that I can get
If you
printed here if there's a
if you're
place
not,
to do
if
it.
we're not sure, if you want to just check with the clerk real quick.
For sure.
Not right now.
Okay.
And just make sure before you get started, it's in place.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from committee members, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next is the Metropolitan Transit Authority reappointment of Janet Miller for a term expiring on June 1st, 2026. Ms. Miller, would you like a parking validation?
No, thank you.
Do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Okay. So I've had the privilege of being on the Transit Authority for 9 years now. I started my career leading economic development for the Chamber of Commerce. So I was there for 21 years. Hard to believe, I know. But, and I just learned so much about how important transit is to having thriving communities and prosperity for all, not just some, all. So when Mayor Dean was in office, as I was exiting my role at the Chamber to go run the Colliers International office, it's a large commercial real estate brokerage here in town, Mayor Dean says, why don't we put you on the Transit Authority? So that was 9 years ago. I'm very honored to serve as vice chair currently alongside Gail Williams, who is our chair. And it's just really exciting times for transit, I believe, in Nashville. And I'm really excited about the prospect of being reappointed.
Great, thank you. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Absolutely.
Will you be able to meet the time requirement?
Yes.
All right, questions from committee members?
Thanks for your service and appreciate your enthusiasm. I can feel
Yeah.
it. What do you think? What things have we not done that we could do to encourage and increase ridership?
Really great question. I believe that we have an extraordinarily well-run, modest-sized transit system. And I think that there are boundaries that having that current situation in place puts as far as frequency of servants, number of routes, being able to reach majority of Nashvillians because Davidson County is a large county. And we've been so grateful. I know Mayor Cooper was a large advocate for increased funding. The council has done a great job of increasing funding. But in the environment we're in, it's incremental improvements. And so the board has not taken a position on a potential referendum. I know that's going to be in your hands this summer. But I think that we can absolutely raise our choice ridership by providing 24/7 service, every 15-minute service, service to more areas of the county. We've done some really innovative things, like our partnership with Uber, which allows us to get people who aren't on a transit line to a bus stop. So I've been really happy with some of the innovation that we've had, but the idea that we have a chance to catapult forward so that majority of Nashvilleians have easy, reliable, frequent access, I think that's what's going to attract the choice riders.
All right. Anyone else from the committee? I have a question.
Yeah.
With the group of people that have been working on the referendum and the plan, has the board had any input, suggestions in regards to prioritizing specific corridors or?
Oh, that's so interesting. So we spent the morning, Steve's sitting behind me, we spent 4 hours this morning, actually, the current board, learning about the structure for the referendum, how it's all going to be structured, and go into a deep dive of the plan. One of the things that came up is I'm an optimistic person, so when we get funding in place, that there will be a mad rush for prioritization. And we talked about it today, and I think the answer is there needs to be great reasoning for the priorities. There needs to be great transparency about why certain corridors are prioritized. And so, in my view, you're not going to make everybody happy, but so long as we have a really great logic that the council supports, the mayor supports, the community supports, that we will get through it. But it will be tricky because everybody's going to want to be the first. I will say I'm super excited about the North Nashville Transit Center and the fact that we've added so much service in that part of town already. So we have not gotten anywhere near talking about prioritization. I think right now we're really focused on getting, hopefully, and this is me speaking personally because the board hasn't taken a formal view on it yet, but getting the funding so that we can not just incrementally improve, but kind of catapult the system forward. That was a long way to say no.
Yes, which is a problem for me.
Yes.
Right. Having a big picture, this is what we're going to do, is all great and dandy, but I have to go and report to my constituents, right?
Course.
So right now, how it's written, Murfreesboro Road is top, which is great. They have highest ridership.
Right.
Nolensville Pike is all the way at the bottom, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
It doesn't say that they would start on that project until 2029.
Right.
Now, when we had the special called meeting with all parties involved, they said it's negotiable.
Right.
Negotiable is not what I want. I want, we're going to move this up in the timeline. Honestly, it should be second,
Sure.
given the ridership down that corridor, given how acutely diverse it is.
Of course.
It does not make any sense to me that it is the last
Right.
project that could potentially be off the ground. It's unacceptable, really. And so I need confirmation going forward. So I need
Sure.
the board to figure out what they're doing and take a stance, because we have a lot of people that we have to go and answer to.
No, and I completely understand, and I do understand. I mean, Nolensville Road is just one of the lifebloods of the community. So I agree with you on that. Honestly, we just haven't gotten that far yet, but I completely hear you and I understand the need for it. I don't have the authority to say yes at the moment, but I completely hear you.
Great,
on
thank
this.
you. Any, yes?
You may not want to answer this. You probably studied the plan. Do you think it's going to work?
Do I think it's going to work? Good Lord, yes, I think it's going to work.
So it's going to increase ridership?
Yes, I really do. And honestly, it's a lot of us from looking at other cities across the country, and we truly are one of the last ones left who haven't stayed on pace. I also think the way the city is evolving, you're getting more and more people in this community that just don't want to drive cars. I mean, they really don't. I know a lot of the people who've moved here, I remember a lot of the Alliance Bernstein people were like, why do I have to have a car? Because they're coming out of places where transit is so strong. So I believe that the plan is very balanced. It doesn't have some of the kind of swing for the fences things that some of the prior ones did. And I think for where Nashville is today, it is the right plan. And I do think when we get more frequency, and I do think there will need to be kind of campaigns around how great it is to hop on the bus. I mean, I live right off Belmont Boulevard, and I love hopping on it and coming downtown. And I really do believe it will work, and I think it's the right plan for this point in time by not being so loaded up with billions of dollars of shiny things. But I also think it's ambitious enough that it truly will help many, many.
Yeah, having lived in 4 or 5 cities where I took bus and train,
Right.
the hard part here is access, how do you get to the buses?
That's right.
West Hillwood, my district.
Oh, I went to Hillwood High School as a
Good.
hilltopper, so.
Yeah, so I think that's probably, I see that in at least our areas.
Sure.
Is where in the heck do you go possibly park to get a bus?
Right, and I know that they've got extensive park and rides designed for the plan. The other thing I love about this plan is it's not a transit plan. It is a movement plan, and so the sidewalks to me are as important. And the signalization, I was asking Michael Briggs at the meeting today, I said, explain to me what this signalization project is going to do to help the average Nashvilleian. And he just kind of explained the technicalities, and it will help everybody. It'll help the transit riders, it will help those of us sitting in our cars. And when I just look at the city today, I've always, doing economic development here, I don't want to destroy this amazing thing that we've created as a city. And I believe if we don't tackle these issues with transit infrastructure, that we could harm this place we've all worked really hard to grow. So that's why I'm really enthusiastic about it. And I hope you will be too,
All
in
right.
July and August.
Anyone else?
Just really quickly, want to talk very briefly, because I know we're running out of time a little bit.
I can sit here and talk transit all
Exactly.
day, you know?
But so presupposing that the transit referendum goes through and we are able to expand access and do a lot of the really great things that I believe that this plan will do. Sort of thinking 15 years into the future
Right.
and about the folks who make Nashville what it is, those of us who live and who work here. And a lot of folks right now who work and not only just for Metro, but work throughout the city,
Sure.
aren't able to live in the city anymore.
That's right.
So I want to talk more about sort of just a regional transit plan. I'll say anecdotally, like just recently, spoke with my barber who lives up in Clarksville, and we were talking, and he said, like, yeah, man, like if I could hop on a train and come back and forth between
Sure.
Nashville and Clarksville, I would. But he's not able to, and so just want to see your thoughts on that and sort of institutionally what MTA's position is, because I know there are intricacies as far as just like regional cooperation in certain zones and making sure that the other counties are cooperating and funding it as well, but sort of just wanted to give you the chance to.
So I think that we're very fortunate that we have the Regional Transit Authority with so many of the mayors of the surrounding counties that sit on that. And I do believe that for this to be a truly world-class system, it needs to be regional. I just think you've got to reach into those counties because so many people are living there. I also think, though, that you've got to do this sort of in tranches, and getting it through for Davidson County in and of itself is going to be a very large task. I think if you truly wanted to get the 8 counties or the 10 counties all bought in, figure out the funding structure and all, it could be years down the road, and I just don't think we have that luxury. I just think people need to be able to move in 25, 26, 27. So I also think that the strategy around the park and rides and the conversations with the other counties is building an infrastructure so that it will be easier to take it to a regional system over time. So I'm optimistic. Let's get this taken care of for Nashville. But let's put that absolutely on the long-term agenda because, I mean, I want this to be world-class, and regional systems are really what you need, because people don't know where the county line is, where they live. You know, your barber is just living up there because it's beautiful and it's affordable. And the last thing I'd say is the affordable housing pieces of this, the transit-oriented development that can come along with this, and being able to dictate affordable housing in some of these corridors, I think is really going to be transformative. So hopefully your barber will be able to live in Nashville in the future because it's a big problem.
All right, any other questions? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral to next meeting. Thank you so much. All right, we got a few, let's move through these. Okay, Sustainability Advisory Committee appointment, Matthew Taylor for a term expiring on April 15, 2026. Mr. Taylor? Yes. Do you need a parking
Yeah, that'd be great.
validation? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Yeah, so I currently work in the sustainability space. I have a pretty diverse educational and professional background in the environmental sciences. I've served on different nonprofit boards in the city that are for organizations that are sustainably oriented, and I love Nashville, so I think I can lend my expertise to the committee.
Great, thank you so much. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes.
Will you be able to meet the time requirements?
Yes.
All right, any questions, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next is the Tourism and Convention Commission appointment of Kuan, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor for a term expiring on June 30, 2027. Here we
Thank
go. You currently live in Davidson County.
Yes.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Well, I think it's a privilege, honestly, to serve the city and the communities of Nashville, and also, ensuring that small business owners and, in line with tourism, voices are heard and not forgotten about,
Great. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes,
Will you be able to meet the time requirement?
absolutely, yes.
All right, questions from committee members? No, you're able to do it? Do it? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Tourism and Convention Commission appointment of Jackie Marushaka. Is she here? Deferred to the 18th? Okay, can I get a motion to defer?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Where are we?
Transfer.
Sorry, no.
7.
7, no, yes. To 1 meeting deferral?
Yes.
Yes. Next is Transportation and Licensing Commission, consideration of nominee to fill 2 vacancies with the term expiring on April 30, 2026, with an election to be held at the June 18, 2024 council meeting. First one up is Erica Pinley, nominated by Councilmember Jason Spain. Hello. Do you need a parking validation?
I'm going to decline. I did drive and I should have walked. I work at the Pinnacle building and
Okay.
it's hot and it took me 20 minutes to get here, so it was a mistake and I'm going to suffer my own consequences.
I like that. I really like that. All right. Can you pronounce your last name?
Yes, it's Penley.
Pinley. Okay. Ms. Penley, do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do.
Do you serve on any other Metro boards and commissions? All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Yes, thank you, council members. My name's Erica Vick Penley. I'm an attorney at Bass, Berry & Sims down at the building, and my family and I live in council member Prepteet's district, and but I commute into downtown every day, and so I'm really familiar with sort of the struggles of the Nashvillians who are doing that commute. I'm right there with them. I'm interested in serving in the Transportation Licensing Commission because I want to make sure that there's a balance between the interests of the transportation companies of all varieties and the other businesses that are operating downtown and the people that are working there. And I think that's something that can be achieved, and I think that that's something that we can do a better job at getting there. Over the last 20 years, I've witnessed this phenomenal growth that the city has had, and that has come with awesome things for people who live here. It's in the theater when it amphitheater when it came, and then the National Museum of African American Music. Those are really awesome things. The Grand Prix and the NFL Draft. Those are awesome things. But also with coming the Id City, we're the Bachelorette capital, which is great for tourism, but it's not necessarily great for other people who live here and want to come to things downtown and have to kind of, again, a balance I think is really key to success for the city as a whole. So as a fun fact, my husband and I were actually credited years ago when the Transportation Licensing Commission was given the authority by the council to regulate pedal taverns and the hours of operation, and we were actually given a shout out for our grassroots sort of advocacy for reining in some of that activity at the time. And that seems really quaint at this point. So anyway, that's where my interest lies, is just as a person who has lived here for 20 years and would like to see this growth continue in a reasonable way that everyone can enjoy.
Great, thank you so much. Councilmember Spain, would you like to speak to regarding your nominee?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Eric and I have been colleagues and friends for probably 15 years now, and in that time she's always had a passion for the types of issues that come before the TLC, which is why I wanted to nominate her. She obviously has a personal understanding of the need to balance the needs of the people that live and work here and those who come here to visit, and I think she'd be a valuable addition to the commission, and appreciate your favorable consideration.
Thank you so much. 2 questions. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Absolutely.
Will you be able to meet the time requirement?
Yes.
All right, questions from committee members? Council member.
Thanks for your service, and I can see you thought about issues. You used the word balance a couple of times, and then near the end of when you were talking, the word reasonable, in terms of balancing the growth and the needs of those here who work here or live here. When you use those words, do you have actions that you think go along with them, or?
I think that things are trending the right way, like the hours restrictions, during, and I'm not sure exactly, I'll have to familiarize with some of the rules that have been adopted recently, but, the rush hour restrictions about operating at different times. Those are, I think, a reasonable balance of, helping people get in at the times where things are the busiest without crowding the streets. Monday morning at 8 a.m. is maybe we could wait till 10 before, things are, those sort of things. I think, limitation to the extent that I'm also a lawyer, obviously, so I know that there are restrictions on, with how many licenses you can have and those sort of things. I don't think it should be 0, but I don't think it should be unlimited. Those are sort of things I'm talking about. So I think that there are already some movement in place, but I've thought over the years that maybe some, certain streets are open to transportation vehicles and other streets maybe not, or that those are sort of the things, but I'd have to flesh that out a little bit more, and I'd have to, again, I'm looking forward to educating myself on sort of the parameters in which we can operate, so.
Fair enough.
All right, any other questions? Yes.
I just want to say I've had the pleasure of getting to know Erica over the past couple days, and just I think that she has an incredible administrative prowess with a vision towards community-based needs, given her experience, her presence in the community. So I just want to give her my glowing recommendation and say
I won't trade that for a vote later on.
Yes.
I appreciate that very much, yes.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral to the next meeting. Thank you so much.
You-
Next is Annie Claver, nominated by Councilmember Terry Vo. Ms. Claver, would you need a parking pass?
Yes, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Do you currently live in Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No, ma'am.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Great. I'm just going to read a little bit of what I submitted. I'm a 20-year resident of Nashville, 10-year small business owner of the first downtown river recreation company called River Queen Voyages. I serve on the board of the Transit Alliance in Middle Tennessee. I was a founding member of TEDx Nashville. I'm a member of Women's CEO collective called Brain Trust, the Music City Concierge Association, the Entrepreneur Center, and when I have free time, which is never, I'm occasionally a DJ and host for Lightning 100, Nashville's independent radio station. I'm also a U.S. Coast Guard certified master captain, which you have to be to drive people around on the river downtown, as it is a commercial navigable waterway. As both a homeowner and business owner in Nashville, I've witnessed the growth and change of the city in the past 2 decades with both excitement and trepidation. I always want to be part of a growing city rather than a dying city. But measured and smart growth are essential for long-term sustainability. My river recreation business operates in the same footprint as the $2.1 billion Nissan Stadium and has for the last 10 years. So I'm very well versed in balancing the needs of small business and metro departments. On any given weekend, I had to print this so I remembered all of them, coordination of our operations on the East Bank may involve the Titans, Metro Parks, Sports Authority, Metro Police, NDOT, the U.S. Coast Guard, the NCVC, CMA, Grand Prix, Downtown Partnership, and various third-party security companies. So well versed in finding our way in and around the city. If appointed, I would bring a unique and measured point of view to the commission. As someone with business relationships in both the downtown entertainment industry and the public sector, I'm well aware of the hot button issues surrounding the TLC. What I've learned in my time here, though, is that the philosophy I apply to my own business is how Nashville is a collaborative city. Everything is solvable with the right mix of governmental regulation and private business ingenuity. I appreciate your consideration for the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Coopin, are you speaking since Councilmember Bo isn't here to?
If you would allow me to, I would love to speak.
All right, go for it.
I actually had put Annie's name forward, and Councilmember Vo, who knows her very well, asked to be the one to nominate her because she also really appreciates her efforts. But in my time knowing Annie, she's been an advocate for small business, for the balance that she talked about, I think with the TLC, especially with some of the challenges recently and threats of state preemption, someone that we need more balanced voices on there to kind of keep us moving forward, to kind of get new regulations to make sure that we protect the livability of the city, but also recognize the development of the different party buses and things that the TLC regulates. I think Annie brings that balance. I think that she would be, not biased in any direction, but would fairly adjudicate the different issues before that commission. I think she'd bring a great voice. And then additionally, with the growth on the East Bank, we're starting to have conversations of what do TLC-regulated entities look like on the East Bank? What do they look like on the river? So to have someone who understands those topics and understands how that works, I think would be important as the TLC starts to take up some new material. So I would be very supportive of her nomination.
Great, thank you so much. Ms. Claver, do you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes.
Will you be able to make the time requirement?
Yes.
All right, questions from committee members? All right, can I get a motion? So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Next is Freddie Carr, nominated by Councilmember Jacob Coopan. Mr. Carr, thank you so much for being here. Do you need a parking validation? You need a parking validation?
I actually need two.
You need two? Okay. No, you keep that.
Oh,
You
thank
take
you.
that. All right. Do you currently live in Davidson County?
I do.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
No other.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Well, I'm already serving. Been serving for quite a while. I'm a Nashville native. Been here my whole life. Have watched transportation in Nashville transform. I actually am a local business owner. Have been a local business owner for years. Have run transit through the city with DHL, Sears, Lowe's, Home Depot, you know. So I understand the ebb and flow of the traffic and some of the needs that we need to address. I've been on the board for 3 terms now, so I've already been dealing with a lot of the issues that we've already dealt with, the horse and carriage, the transportainment, the e-bikes, everything you can think of that's come through here in the last 6 or 7 years. So I think a background as to where we've come from and where we're going, I think I have a good grasp on what the city needs and is trying to do. So I think my input would be valuable to the commission.
Great, thank you so much. Do you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes.
Will you be able to make the time requirement?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Councilmember Coopan, would you like to speak about your nominee?
I would love to. Thank you, Chair. Freddie's been a great asset to the TLC. He's served for quite some time, as he alluded to, and we appreciate that he wants to continue serving. This is a commission with a lot of deep history and nuances and things that have been tried that have worked and things that have been tried that have not worked. And so I think it's important to have that institutional knowledge continue. I know that a number of other commissioners on the TLC and staff members and community members on all sides really appreciate his efforts and would like to see him continue his service.
Great, thank you so much. Questions from committee members? What district do you live in?
Antioch. Joy.
What was that?
Joy Styles.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right. Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the parking pass.
I think this is last one. Potentially, hopefully. No. Mr. Kevin Warner, nominated by Councilmember Berkeley Allen. Mr. Warner, would you like a parking validation?
No, thank you.
All right. Do you currently live in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you serve on any other metro boards and commissions?
Nope.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Retired, I know your inbox is clogged, but if you haven't had a chance to, my resume identifies why I'm a retired environmentalist, banker, educator. Before we moved to Nashville over 6 years ago, I was very active in the city I lived in. I was on the steering committee of the group that rewrote the downtown master plan. I served on the parking management board. I was on the planning and zoning commission. So that's where I learned, to use a now well-worn phrase in this group, balance the competing priorities of residents and visitors, the local regulatory regime, and businesses that were operating there. I did that thoroughly, without any outside influences, and I know I can do the same here. The TLC has got, we all know, there are especially, God knows where we go next with a have-to council. There are issues that have been plaguing us, certainly in the 5 years I've been paying close attention. Scooters are creating a lot of problems. Party buses are creating a lot of problems.
In my humble view, enforcement is one of the key elements of what happens next. The scooter operators at a very recent TLC meeting were patting themselves in the back with how great their software was. I know there are things they can do. They can do to make it easier for the enforcement mechanism. I would like to insert that into the formal deliberations of the TLC. The party buses, the Bigfoot up on the hill is going to prevent council from being as aggressive as some would like in terms of the number of permits, the hours of operation, where they operate. And I would just like to be part of that dialogue to, what do we need to do next? Of course, with or without, of course, the endorsement and the guidance of the council. I mean, that's a tough one, but that's for you guys to figure out as things move forward with however the regulations may or may not be revised.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Allen, would you like to speak to your
Thank you. I have known Kevin since, I think since the day he moved here and showed up at the first traffic and the TLC meetings and traffic and parking meetings. He has been an active participant even as a citizen and has frequently, we've had lots of conversations just about ways that we could make things better. He was very engaged when we were doing the scooter legislation. So I appreciate, as a fellow engineer, his very methodical approach and have just seen the evidence of his background in the thoughtful questions that he's asked as a city just struggle to stay ahead of the surprises that, new methods of transportation throw our way. So I believe he would do an excellent job and would ask for your support.
Great, thank you. Will you commit to promoting equity while serving on the board?
Yes.
Will you be able to meet the time requirement?
Yes.
Councilmember?
Thank you. Kevin, I know you're also part of neighborhood groups, and so you I like that you've kind of got the engineer's hat on, and you know how it impacts neighborhoods and people that neighbors. You did say something about that I want to ask about the TLC and the state and the council. I mean, what we did a few years ago is kind of what we were allowed to do from the state is to let the TLC set some parameters, but let the TLC kind of make some of the rules. So it's on the TLC also to set some of these policies and work through the nuts and bolts of the issues. And you mentioned several of them, and I do think, thinking about enforcement is certainly important. I think that's, I think when it comes to parking as well, that's something that we're not 100% where we need to be. When it comes to, and you live arguably in Midtown, in between downtown and kind of more outer residential neighborhoods, like past Wedgwood. And so how do you think we're balancing, and the TLC is balancing the transportation vehicles? Like, for example, I know in the previous term, not going back a few years, Councilmember Allen kind of set some parameters, some literally boundaries for where the slow-moving vehicles were supposed to stay in. We haven't done the same thing with transportation vehicles. And folks downtown will say, well, they shouldn't all be concentrated down here, but folks in residential neighborhoods and more purely residential neighborhoods are not wanting them. So how do you think is limiting the number of them the key, or?
Well, I put a lot of faith in the work that Nashville DOT has done in this regard with its Connect Downtown report, which, among many other good things, Ms. Alarcon I forget the number she recommended at one of the TLC meetings. She said, look, this is the number that we believe, the number of permits that should be issued. And, we created a lot of discussion amongst the operators and the commission itself and so on. So, my humble opinion, there's too many. 109 permits? I mean, if that's the number, it's like, my God. I mean, I spend most of my time between the broad downtown and midtown area, and it's just, you've heard all the comments from everybody who's got commentary to their own experience on how they feel about these vehicles and when they operate, where they operate. So, and the same thing applies to scooters. They're just, people, I've been lucky, but I've heard people with anecdotes about, they almost got run down on the sidewalk. And so,
Do you think that the buses that are like enclosed and like kind of driving people around, showing them sights, but not necessarily playing music and serving drinks, should be treated the same and in those permit numbers as the
I don't.
As those who
I don't, and I know there's a fair amount of sentiment on the TLC to do that. But there's been conversation about, well, can we do that, and the regulations, this and that, and it's a thorny issue. But yes, I do, because the sightseeing vehicles go places where the party buses have no interest. What party bus wants to go, way down 21st Avenue, beyond where I live? We live on 18th Avenue near Scarrett Bennett, near Edge Hill Avenue. The party buses don't want to go down there. They want to be seen. They want people on the ground to be woo-woo, and et cetera, et cetera. Sightseeing buses, there's a lot of value in going to a lot of places in town. So I think they need to have some kind of separation when it comes to how many permits, which is difficult. I mean, it's so.
Great. All right, any other questions? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for re-referral. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
And we're not done, council members. We're almost done.
I got another committee.
What other committee? We're the last committee.
Started at 5:15.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, we have a consent agenda to finish this off. These are all the people that already interviewed on 5/21/24. We need a recommendation to give to the body as a whole. If anyone needs to be pulled off of consent, please let me know. First one is Fletcher Foster, Benjamin McDaniel, Nancy Van Rees, John Norris, Carolyn Ziegler, and Harvard,
I did the same thing.
Stephanie Tetro, and Lisa McClare. Do any of those need to be pulled off consent? All right. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The last thing is the rules changed to Rule 13. It is my understanding that this will be deferred until after budget. Did the sponsor give a specific date they wanted this deferred to?
I did not receive that letter. This was my understanding that it was July, but I did not receive a specific date.
All right, can we get a motion to defer to the first meeting of July?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. That concludes our agenda items. We are adjourned.